The Pirates Are Coming. This is episode 4 of Netflix adaptation of One Piece, and this is the conclusion to the Syrup Village arc. So this is a very Zoro heavy episode. We get his flashback and why he wants to become the world's greatest swordsman and all that stuff. And we start off the episode with Zoro down at the bottom of the well. He notices the dead body of Mary, and then most of this episode is him trying to get out of this well. He first tries to use this hook, but he's not able to get it to latch onto anything. And so he starts trying to climb up this well. And throughout this climb, we will get like flashbacks of his past and stuff. And I like the way that it's like introduced. Like every time when we see him struggling and falling, we see him struggling and falling in the flashback. The flashback is basically that Zoro was a trainee at Shimosuke Village, where he had a strong rivalry with the master's daughter, Kuina. And no matter how much he tries, no matter how much he trains, he just can't beat her. He's the second strongest in this town, the first strongest being Kuina. And yeah, he just can't beat her. And at first, they're using like bamboo sticks, and then Zoro's like, that's the only reason you can beat me, is because you're using bamboo sticks. If we use real swords, I would win. And so they fight using real swords, and once again, she wins. And we actually get this interesting moment. I think other people have pointed it out, but I was surprised to see this in a modern day series where Queen basically says, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get taller, you're going to get faster. The only reason I can beat you now is just because I'm a girl, and girls can beat boys, but women cannot beat men. Like men are just naturally better fighters than women. And I was like, oh wow, we're actually using logic when it comes to biology. I thought that was a big no-no when it comes to Hollywood. But no, they actually point that out. I was like, all right, we're actually doing that. Interesting. But Zoro's like, you're just using that as an excuse. Like, when I beat you, it's going to be because I'm better, not because I'm a boy. And they make a promise that they're going to keep fighting each other every single day. They're going to keep training until one day one of them becomes the world's greatest swordsman or swordswoman. And then the very next day, Zoro is waiting for Kuina to show up so that they can continue their sparring and training. And that's when the master shows up and reveals that there was an accident and Kuina's dead. And they don't actually explain how she died in the TV series, but for anyone who's interested, so what happens is in the manga, Kuina was walking either up or down the stairs, and she slipped, fell, and broke her neck. So yeah, she fell down the stairs, broke her neck, and that's how she died. That was the accident. It's not ever explained in this series, but that's how she dies. And so, of course, Zoro is like devastated, and he asks the master if he can have Kuina's sword, which is the white sword, the Wado Ichimonji. And he says that I want to take the sword because the two of us made a promise that one of us would be the world's greatest swordsman. And Zoro feels that if he carries a sword with him and he uses it to become the greatest, then a part of Kuina will become the greatest as well. Like, together they can fulfill their goals and their promise. So that's how he gets his sword. And it's not ever explained here, but in the manga, it's revealed why he uses 3 swords. So in the manga, Kuina fights with the one sword style. And because Zoro sees her as a rival and she keeps beating him, he thinks, okay, well, if she uses a one sword style, I'll use a 2 sword style. And my 2 sword style will be able to beat her, and I'll become greater. And then once she dies and he's granted her sword, he creates his own 3rd sword style. That way, every time when he fights, she will be in spirit in the fight with him. So that's why he creates the 3rd sword style. So yeah, I'm kind of bummed out that they kind of left that out, because that wasn't like a nice, interesting little thing where it's not just he goes around carrying the sword with her and he doesn't ever really use it. Like, we've only seen him use it once in the TV series. But yeah, the reason why he uses it is because he created a whole new style just so he can use that sword and incorporate it into his fight. But yeah, eventually Zoro is able to, I guess, recall this flashback, and it gives him the strength that, like, hey, I made a promise to this girl, and if I stay stuck down this well, I'm never going to be able to fulfill that promise. So he uses that strength to get him out of the well. Meanwhile, Usopp brings Kobe and Helmelpo to Kaya's mansion, And of course, Kuro is able to use his charisma and his smarts to drive the Marines and Usopp away. Like he convinces them that there's nothing fishing going on in this mansion. Everything's okay. And yeah, Kobe just kind of really comes across like an idiot in this episode. It's kind of funny because, well, I guess it's kind of explained that like Kobe fails his mission. Spoiler alert. And he tells Garp later on that, like, I failed. I basically overthought everything. And I don't think that him overthinking is what caused him to fail the mission. I think it's the fact that he kept disagreeing with his instincts. He fought against his instincts. Like something was telling him that there was something shady going on, but he never followed through with it. So he kind of comes across like an idiot. Like he's like, something about that butler doesn't seem right. Usopp is telling me that there's something wrong. He knows about Luffy. Kuro basically explains that Usopp brought Luffy and his crew, into the mansion and they caused a huge ruckus and stuff. Kobe should know that Luffy's not that kind of person. Like Kobe should know, like, this guy's story isn't making any sense. Like, I know Luffy. Luffy isn't the kind of person to do what this guy is claiming that Luffy did. But he doesn't do anything to follow up on it. So yeah, Kobe kind of comes across like an idiot. Anyways, the Marines have Luffy. They're taking him back when Luffy eventually wakes up and he barfs out like all the poison that he had eaten in the previous episode. And he says that he's going to go back to the mansion because he has to go save his friends. And Hamelpo pulls a gun out on Luffy. And I like how like Kobe gets all worried about it. And it's like, Kobe, you've seen Luffy get shot before. You saw Luffy get shot in Alvida's ship. You know a gun isn't going to do anything to him. Why are you so worried? But eventually Zoro shows up and he knocks out Hamelpo. And it's kind of funny because Luffy's like, "Oh, Zoro, you found me. How did you know I was here?" And Zoro's like, "I didn't. I thought this was the way to the mansion." And I liked how they've shown just a little bit of. So for anyone who's not familiar, Zoro has a huge problem with directions, in the sense of he's constantly getting lost. Not that he can't follow directions. It's just that he doesn't know. Like if you tell him to go somewhere, he's gonna get lost. And we've seen just a little bit of that here. But hopefully we'll see more of that because I always thought that was like a funny trait for his character. It's like you have this badass, serious sword fighter, and then he just constantly getting lost. But yeah, Kobe tries to put Luffy under arrest, and Luffy's just like, "Hey, like I get you're just doing your job, but I'm gonna go save my friends. So see ya." And then he leaves. And meanwhile, back at the mansion, Usopp arrives at Kaya's bedroom to warn her about Kuro, but she doesn't believe him. And even Nami like shows up. I was hiding out in the kitchen. I overheard everything. Like they're trying to kill you. I don't know why, but they're trying to kill you. And even then, Kaya doesn't really believe them until Kuro puts the place on lockdown. So all the lights go off. These like shutters come and block out all the windows and doors. And yeah, she finally realizes, oh, okay, Kuro's evil. He's trying to kill me. And they're able to use like these back passageways to get to Kaya's parents' bedroom because there's another way to open up the shutters in there. So they're in there trying to get the shutters open. They're not able to like pull the wheel, but Kuro is able to realize that they're in there. So he starts making his way into the room, breaks it open, and the crew is like trying to hide, and he's just going around taunting Kaya, basically saying that he's like he despises her. He's like, like you had everything handed to you, and what did you make of yourself? Nothing. And he taunts her about her parents being dead, about the fact that he was poisoning her, what he's gonna do to her once he finds her, that he's basically gonna kill her and stuff like that. And as this is going down, Zoro and Luffy are able to make it to the mansion. They are able to get one of the shutters open, which is kind of surprising. Like the whole reason for the shutters and security is to keep pirates out, but one dude can easily lift it up. So it's like, all right, so these shutters are kind of pointless if one person can just open them up. But yeah, they open them up, they go inside, And Luffy and Zoro split off. Luffy goes to check upstairs while Zoro checks the downstairs. So Zoro comes across Sham and Bucci, and we get a fight scene between all three of them. It's a 2v1. It's a pretty cool fight scene. I like it. I like Zoro's fight scenes. I think Zoro has the best fight scenes. I like Luffy's as well, though Luffy's is just more just kind of over the top a CGI fest because he's using his powers. Zoro has more of like a grounded, but still over the top samurai kind of style sword fight. Well, not really samurai style because samurais don't fight like Zoro, but like an anime samurai fight. You know, it's like how samurais would fight if they were in anime, over the top kind of stuff. So Luffy is able to find Kaya's parents' room, and he goes in there and he finds Nami and Usopp and Kaya, and eventually he also sees Kuro. And we get kind of a fight scene between Kuro and Luffy, where Kuro's using his speed to constantly dodge Luffy's attacks. And throughout the whole thing, he's taunting Luffy about how, like, you claim to be a pirate. How long have you been at sea? Like a week, maybe a month? Like, I've been raiding villages and stuff for years. I've been a captain since I was young. I've raided so many villages and towns, and not once have I ever lost. Yeah, he basically is talking about how, like, he has a plan for a plan for a plan. Like, he sees everything, multiple steps ahead. There's no way Luffy can beat him, and you might as well just give up. And so it's like a battle of like what it means to be a pirate, where Kuro believes, being a pirate is raiding villages and making money and stuff. Whereas Luffy's vision of pirates is going out at sea, having adventures, having freedom. And Kuro's like, freedom? What are you talking about? There is no freedom from pirates. You're always going to be hunted down. You're going to be hunted down by Marines. You're going to be hunted down by bounty hunters. You're going to be hunted down by other pirates. Even your own crew will attack you at some point. And Luffy's like, nah, not my crew. Like, my crew is always going to have my back. And Luffy closes his eyes, and he's like, I'm done talking. Now I'm going to listen. And he's able to hear when Kuro's about to make a move, like when he's about to do his little flash step ability. And so he throws a punch, and he catches Kuro in the face. And this just kind of completely throws Kuro out of whack. He pretty much abandons his plans of trying to use his speed against Luffy and just straight on attacks him. And of course, Luffy's able to beat him. He's able to capture Kuro's arms, hold him at his side, pull his head back, and use the Gum Gum Bell, which is basically he shoots his head back until it stretches, and then he whips it back using the momentum to headbutt Kuro out of Kaya's mansion. And the day is saved. Nami tells Luffy, okay, we got to get out of here. Like, the Marines are here. They're looking for you, which Luffy already knows because he came across Kobe. And he's like, but how? Like, we don't have a ship. And that's when Kaya's like, yeah, you do. And so she decides to grant Luffy the ship that he saw earlier. And Luffy realizes that the figurehead looks a lot like Mary. And Kaya, kind of sadly recalls how Mary is like her oldest companion, how he took over the shipyard once her parents died, and she's obviously upset about the fact that he's dead. And so Luffy's like, well, then his memory will live on because I'm going to name this ship the Going Mary in honor of Mary. And he's granted the ship. He tells Usopp to gather his gears. Usopp doesn't want to leave the village at first because he wants to protect Kaya. But Kaya's like, you know what? I think I can protect myself from now on. I think it's time for me to stand on my own 2 feet. I don't really want to run the shipyard. Maybe I'll be a doctor. And she bids farewell to Usopp. He gets on the ship, and they start sailing out to sea. And back on the marine ship, Kobe is telling Garp that, I failed to capture Luffy. And Garp's like, no, son, you did exactly what I wanted you to do. You basically smoked them out. Because now, instead of us having to go into the village and track down all the crew members are on the ship, and they're out in the open sea where we can easily see them. And so, they start chasing after the Going Mary. And back on the Going Mary, everyone's happy. They have their own ship. Luffy's completely excited about the fact that he's now the captain of his own ship with his own crew. Usopp reveals that he has created a new Jolly Roger. And of course, it's Usopp's face. And Luffy's like, no, we already have a Jolly Roger. Like, I'm the captain of the ship. And they kind of argue about who's the captain. And everyone starts laughing. And then that's when cannonballs start pelting the ship and hitting the water near them. And they rush onto the deck and they see that the Marines are chasing them. And then we get a little cliffhanger where Luffy, using the spyglass, he sees Garp and he's like, Grandpa? And that's how the episode ends. So yeah, that's another thing that's way different from the manga. I mean, in the manga, Garp is Luffy's grandfather, but that's not revealed until way later. So that was an interesting choice to reveal it this early. So yeah, there you go. There's The Pirates Are Coming, episode 4 of One Piece. I liked it. I liked the fact that we focus on Zoro. I will say that I wish they fleshed out Zoro's past just a little bit more. It might be a nitpick. You guys might, disagree with me and think that what they did was, already fine. But I would have liked if they went into a bit more detail about like why Zoro fights with 2 swords as opposed to 1, and why he eventually trains into 3 swords. But other than that, like the flashback was good. I think the actor that they got to play Zoro as a kid did a really good job, and like the fight scene was actually surprisingly pretty good for these 2 kids. I don't really have that much complaints. I mean, obviously it's you can tell it's pretty choreographed, but still a lot better fight scene than I've seen in other modern day TV shows and movies and stuff. So no complaints there. But yeah, that's the end of the Syrup Village arc, and I'm assuming the next episode we are finally going to be introduced to Sanji, because Sanji's arc is supposed to happen after the Syrup Village, unless the Netflix series decides to do something different. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was good, and like I mentioned in the previous review, I like the fact that we went 2 episodes with this arc. I feel like there's no way that they could have fit everything into 1 episode. And that's been like my one complaint about the series, is that the first 2 episodes, they kind of shove in a lot into each episode. Basically, each episode is like covering an entire arc. And so I like the fact that this arc took 2 episodes because to me, it felt like it had a better flow. It didn't really feel rushed. It didn't feel like we had to cut stuff out to fit time and things. I thought the pacing was better in the last 2 episodes. So, yeah, overall, this was good. I like the Zoro-focused episode. Zoro's my favorite character in this series, both in the Netflix series and in the original manga. I just freaking love Zoro. And so, yeah, it's good to see his past finally revealed and stuff. Everything here was pretty well done. I liked it. Again, I'm surprised that they had the whole, girls can beat boys, but women can't beat men line in there. I was really surprised that they would actually use biology here, because modern day Hollywood, you know how it is. I don't think I need to go into details on that. So yeah, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. This was good. I liked it. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Take care. Later.